how it even tells you that. But now I can't leave the. So it's recording now, right? I have this continue recording slide that shows up. Let me just. Okay. All right. So let's start. अच्छा तो मैं कोई बहुत बड़ा expert नहीं हूँ, but I did do a lot of research in the last couple of months on this system called rain gutter grow system. And I think this prompted some people to get interested. So I figured I'll show what I did, and I have no results so far. Um, so let's start off with what I have felt to be the biggest problem with growing vegetables in the home. And my biggest problem has been watering the vegetables the right amount and regularly. Shuru mein, you're all excited and you'll water it. There's a thing called overwatering. So you give your vegetables too much love and you drown them basically. So you need to water regularly, but just enough. So others obviously have had this issue. And one of the solutions which interested me is this concept called self wicking. Wicking means uh, capillary action, which draws water from a container or reservoir up into the soil. So these are self wicking watering systems. There are three common ones that I looked into. So there are containers or planters where you can do self wicking. There's this system called the kiddie pool grow system. I have a picture coming up. And then the system I decided to install, the rain gutter grow system. Now, there's one other solution, which is to use drip irrigation. So, drip irrigation is typically used if you're not growing in containers, you're growing inside the soil, and then you put in drip irrigation pipes and you can put them on a timer, but that requires your soil in the ground to be in a good condition, and mine isn't. Mine is very clay based. So I was focused on these watering systems basically for containers. um, so this is the general idea. So this is a picture of a self-wicking planter or container. So you have those plastic totes. I think somebody on our group had been using recycling boxes. So that's the idea. But the self-wicking part comes in. If you look at the picture, at the bottom there's a reservoir of water, and then on top is soil medium, but really it's not your garden soil. It's a potting mix kind of soil, and it's separated by some divider. You can go fancy by putting this kind of pipe to fill in more water. Or the idea is when the potting mix is getting dry, it will automatically, through this capillary action, wicking process, draw up water into the soil where the roots are. Now, obviously, you don't want the roots sitting in a lot of water because then the roots rot, right? And there's people have done lots of research, like unscientific research, by just experimenting. And for a good potting mix, they have found that the wicking action can go up to like 9 to 12 inches. So you want your main root ball to be in that area, not higher than 9 or 12 inches. So this was a container system, but then I would have had to buy these individual containers, so I discarded this. This was the second system. So this system and the grow gutter system that I used was actually developed by the same guy. His name's Larry Hall. Well, he died a few years ago, but he has a YouTube channel you can easily search. So this kiddie pool grow system, the name comes because he literally used kiddie pool. So on the top left, you see a picture of a, like बच्चों के splash pad type. Apparently $10 का आ जाता है Walmart पे. Or on the top left, you will notice that he was actually using Walmart grocery bags. Um, and no bucket or anything. He just had the soil in there. And the idea, and this is now resting in this kiddie pool, which has water in it. And the system's the same. The bags are porous, they let water in, and then there's the potting mix in there, which causes wicking. And he's growing corn on the left. The bottom right picture is from a Facebook group, also on the rain gutter grow system, so you can join it. Uh, this is something a little more fancy. The guy has a wooden box and then a pool liner, uh, so that the water stays in there. And he's using grow bags. So I think Farooq showed some pictures of what he was growing in grow bags. These are really easily available. Idea being again the same. Grow bags are porous; they will let water in, and then the wicking process will allow you the roots to absorb the water. ये मैंने क्यों नहीं किया क्योंकि यार I mean honestly the one on the top left looked a little ugly, a little ghetto, maybe redneck. So I was like ये तो बेगम कभी नहीं मानने वाली. So I was like okay, let's discard this. And then I went to this system. uh acha, if I can't, because I'm full screen, I can't see any messages, by the way. So if I think it might be better if you have a question, just stop me and ask, because this full screen business doesn't let me see the chat window.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so
If people send in messages, I'll let you know.
because I can't. I think Zoom has this thing where
Mhm.
it's difficult for the person screen sharing to see the messages.
Right.
Okay, so this is by far the most popular system. This is called the rain gutter grow system. The name comes from the fact that it literally uses a rain gutter. So these are often called eaves troughs, right? I mean, all of our houses have them. They collect water from the roof and then they channel them into the ground. Um, I'll talk about the construction, but the general idea is the same. Some people like to make it pretty. Top right, पे burlap के surrounds. Uh, but if you saw the pictures, the first picture I had, there were holes, and the bottom two here also have these holes. I'll talk about those holes in a bit when I start showing you what I did. The Iska advantage was it looked a little more organized to me. So instead of those blue pools and then having to buy those grocery bags, uh, or buy those grow bags, I decided to go with the rain gutter grow system. Um, what I have next is what I did. So basically, if I pretended that one of you will do this. And so I have basically a shopping list, upgrades you can do, and then I'll go step by step on how I set up the buckets. It's not very complicated. It's just a matter of getting to know it once, and then anybody really can do it. Right. So here's my shopping list for the RGGS system. You need food grade buckets because you're going to grow food in it. You need a hole saw for the holes, a wicking medium. So I'll talk about what people use. I use net cups, but you can use cotton cloth, socks, landscape fabric, the actual rain gutter, two by fours for the basic system, but you can go fancy. I mean, lumber is expensive, so maybe you don't want to go too fancy right now. And then potting mix, not garden soil, because garden soil is will not wick because the system completely relies on bottom watering and not top watering. So you really, this is probably the most expensive part of the system, that you can't just use garden soil, even good quality garden soil. You have to use a mix. I can talk more about it a little bit. The two upgrades that are common are air pruning, which is what the holes are for. I'll talk about that, and self watering, which I haven't done, but you can set it up, and I have some pictures on how you can do that. So let's start step by step. You need food grade buckets. So that's the bucket I used. So now this is not the bucket most people use. Most people use a 5 gallon round bucket. These are about 6 gallons. How do you get a 5 gallon round bucket? Well, you can buy them on Home Depot or Canadian Tire. They're about $3 to $5. food grade, you must check that because you don't want plastic leaching into your soil and then into your. I mean, I'm not very particular about microplastics to this extent, but people are. So you just got better to be careful. The second place is Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji. You can buy them from $1 to $3, but the best is obviously free. And I got mine for free. I got about 20 for free. Now I got a colleague who was doing. I was doing this with a colleague of mine. I haven't left my house in like a year and a half because of some health issues. But so she was the one collecting them. Sobeys is where we got ours, and they are very commonly available wherever you have bakeries, like who make cakes. So Sobeys makes a lot of cakes. They're used for frosting, and you could probably read this. It's I think the French side is visible, but frosting comes in these boxes, and these stores have to get rid of them. So typically, they have to actually pay people to take them. So they're more than happy to give them to you, but obviously they won't give them cleaned. So they still have frosting in it, but put on some gloves and use some sponge and they're clean. So I source them all free. Free is good because you're recycling something that would go into the dump and you're not spending money. You'll spend money on other stuff. Then you need a hole saw kit. I mean, you don't really need a kit. The only real hole that you need to drill is a 3-inch hole. But I mean, we're most of us are DIYers, and one thing that I think people who are DIYers by habit realize that there's no reason to buy a whole bunch of tools in one go. You collect tools over the long run. So I used this opportunity to buy a kit. I didn't have a whole saw kit, and I've always wanted one, but never really needed it. So I was like, this is the opportunity, but find one. And I mean, if you are a serious DIYer, you know that Canadian Tire has these crazy deals. Never buy anything on full price on Canadian Tire. So I waited because I'd been looking for to do this for like 6 months. And I think I bought this for like $30. Usually it sells for like 80, 70, $80 or even 100. Unfortunately, the 3-inch one, the one I did need, doesn't come in this kit. I had to pay 20 extra dollars for that just one hole saw. I'll tell you why I needed that 3-inch one in a bit. Um, I needed the smaller ones because I wanted to do air pruning. Okay, so once you have these two things, I was a little worried. QK, I've used a hole saw before on wood, and I mean, it is not the hardest thing, but it takes some time. Magar, these bimetal hole saws, they it's like butter. This plastic is like butter for it, right? तो आई वॉज वरीड कि यार ये देखो 15 बकेट्स हैं, इतने ज्यादा सुराख करने, तो मैं पूरा दिन सुराख ही करता रहूंगा. I use 2.5-inch holes for the air pruning. Um, kid you not. So this is another picture of all the holes. So I had 12 holes on the sides and one which were 2.5 inch and one hole at the bottom which is 3 inch. Kid you not, I could do all the holes, like the 2.5 holes, within a minute. It's that fast. It's incredible and it's fun. I even let my 4-year-old drill a few. Yes, a 4-year-old can drill this. I mean, obviously, I was holding the drill, but he was the one pressing it, um, which was, I mean, pretty cool and fun. So I got through this in like an hour, hour and a half. The time that most of the time was actually taking me because I was switching between the 2.5 and the 3 inch. And then I was like, यार क्या कर रहे हो? पहले सारे 2.5 इंच वाले करो, फिर 3 इंच वाले करो. ये बार बार क्या change करना? That sped up things, but I was already done with half of them by that time. Okay, so why the 3 inch for the bottom one? Well, it's the net cup. So remember, this thing's going to sit on a gutter filled with water. The bucket's flat, so you want something protruding into the reservoir. People use socks, old socks, or even cotton bed sheets, but this is the recommended. approach that was originally designed by this guy Larry Hall. He used these net cups. Now I was like, यार अब ये कहाँ से खरीदा हो कितने का है फिर पैसे खर्च. But these are really cheap. I think I got 60 of these for like $12. Why did I buy 60? Well, these also happen to be really good for just growing seedlings, right? So I was like, ले लेते हैं, use करते रहेंगे, and I did use them to grow seedlings. Um, the outer lip of this thing is 3 inches, so that's why I definitely needed that 3 inch hole. Why? Because this is what the intent is, right? So notice the bottom hole. This net cup is going has to sit in there but not drop out. 2.5 inch would have been too tight, right? Okay, but then you're thinking, what? Okay, maybe I should talk about the air pruning. The air pruning thing is interesting. I had never heard of it, but those of you who know grow bags um, will probably know about this also. So the way the root system works is the roots start going deeper and deeper, but if there's no space to go deeper, especially in containers, then they start going around. And if you bought pots from a nursery, sometimes when you take the root ball out, you'll see a root ball going round and round. That's called root bound. That's what they call it. Um, you don't want that. You don't want the plant to get root bound. So, what air pruning does is because when the roots hit this hole, uh, it detects air and that root stops growing and it sends a message back to the root system that I'm not going to grow here. The root system starts producing more roots. So, air pruning allows you to have a bushier, thicker root system rather than longer roots, right? So, you are preventing roots from going round and round in this container, and you're getting a much bushier root system. And so, I wanted to try it. Before this year, I had grown in containers, but I had never really, I never even knew of air pruning. Okay, but obviously this is a problem because अगर इसमें मट्टी डालोगे तो मट्टी तो बाहर चली जाएगी. So that's where landscape fabric comes in. So this is how you set it up. And so on the picture on the left, sorry, well, I mean it's an inside view. So notice that the picture on the right probably is a better explanation of what I was doing. So you take the net cup out. So you just have your bucket. You put the landscape fabric. So it's a weed control fabric. I had some lying around. क्योंकि Costco से लिया था और Costco sells you things in hundreds of feet. So I had a lot lying around. So again, I was able to reuse. Um, so you put the landscape fabric down and then you take the net cup and you push it through the hole, right? So notice that the landscape fabric is going to cover everything, but landscape fabric is water permeable. And then you put the net cup, and if you see on the picture on the left, you'll see that I've already put soil in that net cup. Um, and then you just fill it up, right? So you fill up the um, the bucket with a potting mix. I keep saying soil, but it's supposed to be a potting mix. I used Miracle Grow again. If you're a Costco member, Miracle Grow is pretty expensive. You can get it slightly cheaper by buying these big bags from Costco. They do come out cheaper. I mean, apparently it's short everywhere these days. Everybody's gardening. Uh, Now, the guy who invented this system, Larry Hall, he actually wanted to go even cheaper. So he does have his own mix, right? So very basic ingredients, which is very similar to what Miracle Grow has, is you have compost, like finely sifted compost, and then you have what is called peat moss. Um, Peat moss is the material that allows you that wicking action. If you buy a pot from a grocery store, it has this fluffy material. Oftentimes it's peat moss. And then you have perlite or vermiculite. Those are basically the things that hold the moisture. So, he has a recipe of order of how much each of these things you should use and mix it up. They actually use cement mixers. I don't have a cement mixer. I mean, too much work for me. I just bought Miracle Grow. So again, a bad picture because of the black inside and the overexposure. But what I'm showing is the bucket with the fabric and the net cup at the bottom, half filled. So a potting mix does have some nutrients, but not enough for a full plant to grow. So at this point, you want to add a slow release fertilizer. Remember, this vegetable is going to live, grow, and then produce fruit, vegetables or fruit 3 to 4 months in Canada, right? So you want something that will feed it over this time. I went again, cheapest option. Miracle Grow has a vegetable mix. It's a lot of it is just marketing. Uh, I did some research. Really, what you need for most vegetables that we might grow in a kitchen garden is a 10-10-10 slow release fertilizer. This 10-10-10, if you don't know, is nitrogen, potassium, calcium. No, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. I might be getting the orders mixed up. You need a balanced 10-10-10 fertilizer. I think the one I used here, Miracle, the one from Miracle Grow, is 15, 9, and 12. It doesn't really matter. Something around the 10-10-10 is okay. So what I did was fill it up halfway, sprinkle the slow release so it's granular form, mix it up, and then fill it up to the top. So that's the picture you see. It's kind of not filled up to the top because I haven't actually put the plant in there. Um, then you put the plant in there, fill it up to the top. Now remember, that's a slow release fertilizer. You do want your plant's already healthy. This is, by the way, a grilling pepper, so not a Shimla mirch, a bell pepper. This is more of a sort of jalapeno, but slightly bigger and wider. So it's called a rosso pepper. I really like to grill them on a barbecue. So I have like four of these growing. So you want, as soon as you transplant, you want to give it a boost of every nutrient that it might want. So the other thing to do is to give it a water soluble fertilizer. Now, this colleague of mine, she is into organic gardening, so she had bought this, but this was pricey. So she was like, "Can you split it with me?" So we split this. I mean, it was $20, but it's so not the most expensive thing. So we split it halfway. This is a concentrate. You mix it. I don't remember. I think it's 10 ml to a liter or something like this. This is a 511, but that's enough for the week or two that you want to give it right away, right? You want to give the plants a boost right away. So you dissolve it in water and you give it a first nice drenching so that it's happy. Okay, how do you set up the actual gutter? So I've been talking about just the buckets. Yeah, any questions so far, or everybody's okay? Yeah, okay.
They reach.
How
Very
do you set?
interesting. Continue.
Okay, so how do you set up the gutter? So the gutter is actually very simple if you are handy. And to be honest, I'm not very handy. I'm let's call it I am impatient. And I'll tell you why I say I'm impatient, and it came to light even with this. So the gutter, remember, I mean, they recommend using vinyl, but when my colleague went, there was no vinyl gutter available. There was only aluminum, so we bought aluminum. Uh, and so you have the gutter, and you want to brace it on both sides. So 2x4 is what they recommended. The problem was that the gutter we got was, I mean, a 2x4 is really 3 3/4 inch uh, wide. No, one and you know what I mean. It's not true 2x4, right? Um, but the gutter was taller, and so I actually used my tin snippers to. You can see at the top where it's a jagged edge. I had to snip some off. And then you drill it into one 2x4, and then you have the other 2x4. Now, obviously, you want a watertight uh, holder for, because you're going to hold water in it. So you get these end caps for water gutters. So on the bottom right, you can see the end cap next to this 2x4 on the side that I just cut off. And obviously, you have to seal it. So I used a silicone sealer, and that's where I screwed up. So I was impatient and I didn't seal it properly. So I do have a minor leak towards the top. Luckily, it's towards the top, so it drips very slowly. But I was like, I'm not going to fix it because that'll take me another couple of days. Empty it out, clean it out, put new sealant in, wait for 24 hours. So I do have a slight leak, but it still keeps water through one day, which I'm happy with. The next thing, obviously, is to make it level because you're going to put these buckets on this. So you want it absolutely level so that these net cups that sit on it, you're going to sit the bucket with the net cup going into this water. Um, you make sure that all of them are able to drink, right? I am lucky because my backyard has a very big area with these small pebbles, like a play structure area. So I was able to move that gravel around to make it level. But as again, I'm impatient, so I kind of got it level. It's not absolutely level. It shouldn't matter. I plan to fill it up once a day in the morning, and you need at least half an inch of that net cup in the water so that it is able to uh, wick up as much water. I usually am getting more than an inch, so that's good. Okay. Yeah. So this is just a bucket. Remember that net cup. If this is still not, if this is still unclear, remember this bucket has this thing protruding from the bottom, right? That's sitting in this little trough of water, and that's sucking up the water. Okay. So that's what you do, and then you end up with this, right? Now the recommendation is a foot and a half in between plants. Mine is a foot. Mine is actually slightly less than a foot because I was greedy. I wanted to store everything. My plan is if there's a couple of tomato plants. Actually, I have another picture. These are all the plants I'm growing. So the top left is that Rosso pepper. The next one is okra bindi. Then it's an indeterminate tomato that gets huge, like 6 to 8 feet. So I'm gonna have to stake it. Uske right पे, I think top right, yeah, top right. Oh, I think I got my directions mixed up. Top right is a cucumber. Bottom left, I think, is zucchini or no eggplant, and then middle is zucchini. The bottom right one is empty because I plan to put a watermelon in there. Yes, I'm going to try to grow a watermelon, but it wasn't big enough to plant. I'm going to do it today if the weather holds up. Now, some of these zucchini can get big, so I have a plan to grow it up, which is not something a zucchini typically does. So I'm going to have to keep tying it to grow it up. Cucumber will grow up a trellis. So I've already set it up. I took the pictures before I did it. So you just keep tying it up. It's like a vine. Tomatoes, I'll have to keep pruned and trimmed because so tomatoes, if you didn't know, are indeterminate or determinate. Determinate are where humans have engineered them to get to a certain size. Indeterminate are the wild heirloom tomatoes. They can get massive. They're like vines, but because you want to avoid taking up too much horizontal space, people will typically stake it up and then keep it trimmed to grow vertically. Um, Okay, and so yeah, so next to the empty bucket at the bottom is a tiny Tim cherry tomato, and I have a few of these. These I really like for salads. So I have actually 3 or 4 of these also in other containers in on my deck, right? Because they do produce a lot. So I mean, hopefully once this starts, I will not be buying cherry tomatoes for the season. That is it for the system I have. This is something I plan to do next year if this year is successful. Self-watering. Okay, I mean, even now I have to go early in the morning or once a day to fill up this trough. But you can set it up permanently. The idea is, use one of those float valves, bathroom, जो toilet में लगा होता है, hook it up to a water hose open to a tap, and then the idea is as soon as the water level goes down, the float activates the water, it fills it up. Most people do actually use these, and then most people will actually daisy chain many of these. So there's no reason you can have just one. You can have multiple of these rain gutters, all daisy chained through drip irrigation or something with these float valves. Um, that's a bit hardcore for me. I'm going to see how it goes this year and then take it from there. I have a few other pictures, just random pictures. Um, this is from that Facebook group. These are growing strawberries in a rain gutter. Now the system is a little different here. So these are 1 gallon grow bags. So 1 gallon, pretty small. Each one of them has an individual strawberry plant, and instead of the grow bag is sitting inside the water, so kind of like the kiddie pool system, right, where the bag is sitting in the water, but the container is not a kiddie pool, it's a gutter. And notice how he's actually got them stacked on the side of his shed. Or this is an old picture from a month ago. He's been posting updates of like buckets of strawberries. He's somewhere in Texas, so it's hot there already, right? I mean, there's so many things you can do. This is the other picture I had shared. So I have two other rain gutters that I connected to the fence. Um, Initially idea था कि strawberries लगाएंगे after getting motivation from that other picture. But then I also found that lettuce grows really well. Farooq, you wanted to say something. Farooq, did you want to say something? I see your hand. No?
Sorry, it was by mistake.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Not a problem, man. Acha, so people grow a lot of things uh, in these rain gutters. I mean, obviously, these are like 4 inches deep, so you want to make sure you grow vegetables that are shallow. Lettuce is shallow, so I've got lettuce and arugula on the top left of one of the gutters, the top left side of the gutter, and the rest is all strawberries. Now Costco had this amazing deal, $40 for like 70 bare root strawberries. So again, that colleague of mine, we split them. So I have three varieties of strawberries growing, and I unfortunately don't have a picture. There's lots of flowers now, so I will get some strawberries within a couple of weeks. That is it. That is all I prepared. Any questions? Any
Very
discussions?
valuable, Numair. Quick question: how we
Ah,
can expand this into something like a tree? So my question is related to, like, I just planted like a small apple orchard at my
hmm.
property, but I cannot
Ah.
water that daily, right? Because I'm
I
not there.
I think Rana, you need the drip irrigation, like,
Drip
because
irrigation.
all of this is reservoirs of water, right?
Yeah,
So now I'm assuming I know a little bit about your property, so you have issues with electricity,
correct.
right? I mean, you need a उधर कोई मोटर लगानी होगी या कुछ करना होगा. So I've seen people install a single solar panel
Mm-hmm,
with a 1 horsepower pump
mm-hmm,
connected to drip irrigation. So drip irrigation requires pressure. So even if you have rain barrels, you can't use drip irrigation with just gravity fed. You need pressure.
Right.
So I'll see if I can, on YouTube, there's these homesteads. America, it's popular, you know, they have these homesteads where sort of like survivalists, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen some videos where people have solar powers connected to a 1 horse pump, connected to a timer, connected to a rain barrel system, feeding to drip irrigation. Now, the reason I say drip irrigation for you, because I mean, these are for containers, right? What all I was talking about is for containers where there's a reservoir of water. So apple, like trees, uh, they are massive drinkers, right?
Yeah.
But they also need deep watering. So I would think what you would do is put a drip line around your tree
Hmm.
and then figure out how much you want to do, right? Like 4 inches once a week or something. And you use your uh, timer. And I mean, sky's the limit these days with these timers. You even get them which work off a Wi-Fi signal. I haven't seen one which works off a 3G signal, because I don't know, you probably don't even have Wi-Fi there.
Yeah,
Uh,
Wi-Fi is there actually. My area is very good regarding the reception. That is not.
acha.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean the problem is power again, right? Like you would need to power that motor, the pump. Now a battery connected to a solar power will run a 1 horsepower motor for I don't know how long. But I would think this is the way to go for that.
I will look into. That's why I asked the question couple of
Mm.
I think few weeks ago regarding the solar and pulling the water from the pond.
Uh, I
But
mean,
now,
I will try to see find this video that I saw where this guy is doing it. Just a 1 horse power pump is enough for a garden hose, right?
yeah,
So remember, you don't have those big pumps that you do for cottage को अगर provide करना है, so it's not a garden hose, it's a 3-inch pipe. But if it's just a garden hose for irrigation, you just need a, garden hose diameter.
sure.
1 horsepower is enough for that.
Yeah, maybe the cost is also a factor, like how much it will cost at the end of the day. Uh,
I mean, these pumps are like $50, right? But the solar panel is like 100, 200, depending on the wattage.
oh, really? Okay. That's a great idea. Thank you so much, Noel.
Not a problem.
Numair, आप अपनी
My wife.
go ahead. Sorry. It's okay. I'll wait.
Sorry. Go ahead. You know,
I'll wait for you for a while.
okay. So, like I am not much into gardening. I only post pictures, but my wife is really into gardening.
You had us
and
all
she is
fooled,
like,
Farooq. You had us all fooled because those are amazing.
yeah. So she does it like extensively. And
Acha.
we have like both flowers and veggies, and we are doing it extensively, both in-house, within the house, and also like outside in dedicated areas. So she would like to speak, so I will open the video as well, so just so
Absolutely.
that you can just give me a second.
Nay, I saw those pictures. Those are amazing pictures.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We can see you now.
Ah.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum
And thank you so
assalam.
much, Numair Sahab, for a wonderful presentation. It was very nice to learn something new today. I use that gutter pipe, and it was amazing to see how you have put in so much of hard work to plant these things. I would love to see the harvest out of it, and please do keep posting. Yeah, keep
Bilkul.
posting pictures. And this year I tried biodegradable bags. They last up to 7 seasons, so which was a very good price. I think I got them 4 for $10. There are 10
Oh.
gallons and 20 gallons bags. And I also got wider ones where I'm growing spinach and garlic in. And probably I'll be posting pictures. I think Farokh has already posted some, and I'll post some too.
Bilkul, bilkul. And I'll share some.
Yeah, and garlic and spinach and all those things are doing really well. I have because I do in my backyard too. So the remaining, the outflow, I've biodegradable planters. There is just one thing that a farmer told me this year, and I'm trying to follow that. So if the outcome is good, I will share with you. You know, when we talked about fertilizers, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, I used to use the same which you talked about just now, but the harvest with that, especially with gourds, like sponge gourd never came anyways. What you call Loki, the bottle gourd, it was like, you know, it never came properly. So he told me that when we are planting seedlings, our combination of this fertilizer should be 10-20-10 or 20-20-20. And when we are we transplant them into the soil or the planter that for example you are using, it should be 20-10-52-10. And I got that at Canadian Tire. It was very difficult to get because every store does not have it. Yeah, it is 10-52-10. I might share a picture of that fertilizer. I have applied it to the plants. It looks like, you know, for now the plants look good, but I don't know because of the weather that happened day before yesterday.
So the middle number is really high, right?
Yes.
So the middle number, which is phosphorus, is for the root system, right? So the nitrogen is for the leaves, the phosphorus is for the root system. So I think it makes sense for transplant time. And then also for fruiting time, they say, like for strawberries, for example, I know that they say, don't give it nitrogen because there'll be more and more leaves and not enough fruit. So
that's right.
But I don't want to spend too much money on different fertilizers. So I'll see. I mean, what happens. But you're right. There's so much science to this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I am very worried. I am very worried about the plants that I put in the soil because of the frost last night. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
They're very sad right now.
I have to go. I could not gather courage to go and see them, but from what I see from upstairs, they look pretty okay. I think they were hardies a bit and they tolerated it well. But I'll post pictures as I get them.
My buckets, all my containers and all my buckets are in my basement. They were last night. I spent 30 minutes last evening. I brought everything up. I mean, also you can imagine that these buckets with these net cups, you can't just put them on the ground.
No.
So I luckily have cinder blocks with holes in them. Because I'm setting up my own rain barrels, which I can also do another video on. I mean, they're not set up. So I was setting up these rain barrels. So I had already bought a lot of cinder blocks. So luckily I brought all the cinder blocks in my basement. Our carpet ke upar cinder blocks pade hain. Shukar hai, my Begum hasn't gone down yet. So I mean, I wanted to save my plants. Peppers can't take the cold, right? Yeah. And I mean, tomatoes will be, but ho jate hai. Peppers don't like it, and watermelons absolutely no for cold, right? Wo to 10 degrees pe they're out.
That's right. I tried potatoes last year and I got a very good harvest and I have planted them again. So let's see. I'll keep posting pictures and thank you so much for such a great presentation. We will share more pictures and we all can grow together and it would be great.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Definitely. Before you put yourself on mute, Bhabhi, where did you get your grow bags from?
See, I'm a marketplace fan. I can forward the information to you.
Mhm.
It is very north of Brampton. There is this guy who lives in a mansion. Apparently, I went to him, and he does it from. But you can contact him. I don't know if he will ship it to you or what, but he has a good collection, and not very cheap, not very expensive at all.
Very good.
I will share information on the this with the group.
Bilkul,
Appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean,
Okay.
not for this year, but I plan to use grow bags. I really want a nice grow bag or a few grow bags for blueberries because the
Yes.
problem with blueberries is that they need acidic soil. And I
Yeah.
don't want to now, make my soil acidic because not like roses and blueberries are the only two plants I know that need acidic soil or like acidic soil. So I don't want to make my soil acidic just for these two plants. So I would like to buy some, I mean, this year or next year for blueberries, but that needs to be a bigger bag.
Yeah.
That's true. No, they have bigger bags too, 40 gallon and 20 gallon. So
Oh,
you
okay,
will get.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank-
Question, Numair, for you. You'd mentioned that आपने seal सही से नहीं लगाई थी. So if you were to do it again, वो कैसे करेंगे आप?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, seal was okay. I don't know if I can go back. I don't know why it's not going back. Okay, but the problem was, seal lagadi, and then I checked it for a day. It was fine. It was not leaking. I filled it to the top. But then when I was leveling it, my impatience made me just, you know, वो नीचे पत्थर थे ना, so instead of lifting it and taking the stones out, I shook it, right? So you can imagine if the part with the seal got shook, I think that's where it came apart just a little bit. So it has a minute drip.
Right.
So what I would do is be more patient next time.
Right.
I mean, the initial seal was fine. I used a caulking gun with silicone. I
Right.
mean, घरों में I'm sure सबके ही होगी वो.
Right.
But it was the impatience when trying to level it that got it wrong.
Okay. और 2x4 दो साइडों पे लगाए थे, नीचे कुछ नहीं था, वो ग्रेवल पे बैठा हुआ आपका गटर जो है.
Okay, so हाँ, initially, and चलो पूछ लिया तो मैं अपनी दास्तान सुना देता हूँ. Initially, what I had thought कि दो 2x4s, and then I had cut these smaller let's call them feet, that I had placed them underneath. Magar wo, because of the way I cut it or whatever, it was not flat. It was tilting too much, and then I was even having a harder time leveling it. So I took all those feet away and I went straight to the gravel. It should be okay.
Okay.
इमरान का हाथ खड़ा है.
हाँ जी, so first of all बहुत अच्छी presentation, आज सीखने को बहुत कुछ मिला. मेरा सवाल ये था कि for example बारिश हो जाए, बहुत सारी बारिश हो जाए, आपने कहा था ना कि जब ओवर वाटरिंग होती है तो फिर रूट सिस्टम तबाह हो जाता है, राइट? तो क्या उस सिनेरियो में do we have to drain the gutter ताकि क्योंकि सॉइल जो है पूरी गीली होती है इस वक्त?
राइट, सो अगर बहुत ज्यादा बारिश हो जाए और आपका गटर भी फुल है और ऊपर भी फुल है, I haven't thought about it, but people will lift one of the buckets out and take some water out because water will flow wherever there is less of it, right? So अगर बहुत ज़्यादा बैठा हुआ है नीचे, so then it can do the reverse also, right? It can start dripping from your bucket into the gutter, right? I don't know. I mean, like अभी पिछले दिनों बारिशें हुई हैं दो, यहाँ तो काफी हुई है वाटरलू में, but because it's so thin, and it's 4 inches, my gutter was still not full, but maybe it's because of that leak I have. Right? So, I mean, but you're right.
गटर की एक साइड वॉल पे एक हाइट के ऊपर होल भी ड्रिल किया जा सकता है, राइट?
हाँ, so you're right, like an overflow, right?
Yeah.
And then it would just kind of drain out from there. अल्लाह करे इतनी बारिश हो कि मुझे अपना पानी ना इस्तेमाल करना पड़े.
सही. अच्छा, दूसरा सवाल ये था कि पेस्ट कंट्रोल और डिजीज कंट्रोल के लिए आपने कोई स्ट्रेटजीज इस्तेमाल की है?
I have no idea so far. So this morning I saw one of my eggplants. So I'm growing this thin Chinese eggplant. Uh, it has, I think they're called spider mites. It looked like a spider. I only saw one of them, but it creates this white webbing on. It had a white webbing on a leaf. That's on my to-do for today. I will have to look at it and see. I don't know. I mean, apparently neem oil is really good.
ठीक.
Like if you don't want to actually use chemicals, neem oil apparently is really good. Some people even use like little bit of soap and vinegar. I don't know.
नहीं, जो आपने बात की है ना, ये जो वेबिंग्स है, ये मैंने खीरे के साथ देखी थी पिछले साल जब मैंने कोशिश की थी. वो नाकाम रही थी कोशिश. वो पूरे पौधे पे बस वो सफेद सी वो वेबिंग ही थी हर जगह. खीरा था ही नहीं. तो दूसरा टमाटर के साथ अक्सर मेरे साथ ये होता है कि बाहर हो तो वो फिर खाया ही जाता है. मतलब मेरे नसीब में नहीं होता, वो किसी जानवर के नसीब में होता है.
So I mean, people will do lots of things. People will put fencing around it and netting on top. People will put, netting on top of strawberries. I haven't had problems in the past, but I have done it at a very low scale.
Thank you.
I would just say something here.
आवाज चली गई आपकी.
We've lost your audio.
नहीं, आवाज नहीं आ रही. Farooq, I think you are logged in from two things. I see another window also. Maybe that's you also. I don't know. आवाज नहीं आ रही आप लोगों की.
When Bhabhi started talking, we could hear her, but then she उसके बाद आवाज खत्म हो गई थी.
Like I see this extra little pop-up also.
He's probably here from two devices.
तो वो I don't know if. Yeah, how do I stop this share? Pause share? Oh, stop share. Okay, now I can see people.
While we wait for them to fix their audio,
I think there was going to be some really useful pest control information.
Yeah.
म्यूट ही हो गया, परमानेंट म्यूट किसी किस्म का.
हेलो
जी. आप लोग जी
बिल्कुल.
तो आप लोग एक स्प्रे बॉटल ले लें. पुट सम लिक्विड सोप जो घर में बर्तन धोने के लिए भी यूज फॉर डिशेस. मे बी हाफ अ टीस्पून और स्लाइटली मोर देन दैट. पुट सम बेकिंग सोडा एंड वाटर.
अच्छा.
It's very helpful क्योंकि मेरे पास कुछ plants like I have calamondin indoor orange plant. And what happens when I bring it indoors during winter time? A lot of sticky, those little insects that cause a lot of sticky material on the leaves come up. Use that, it will all go and the plant is healthy. I have tried to use it outside too, and it works. So just try. I tried a bit last year. I'm trying it this year. It has been effective. Try it. It doesn't hurt because it's not very harmful for the plant as such. It's just soap, water, and baking soda. But it is helpful in just repelling those little insects that are causing all those problems.
I am doing it today.
Try it, and just we'll update each other. If I get to know something else, I'll let you know.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. एक और सवाल था. स्ट्रॉबेरी आपने गटर में लगाई है, वो यानी 4 इंच डीप के साथ, वो यानी does it fruit? वो is it enough?
Apparently, strawberries have very shallow roots. In fact, one reason to not put it in the gutter is because the way strawberries propagate, is they grow these runners, which will then find more soil and then it'll grow another plant. So I have them in the gutter, but below it, which I don't know if you could see, I also have them in the flower bed there. My problem, as I said, is that the soil is really bad. Uh, and this, like I mixed up some potting mix into the flower bed, but I was not willing to spend, I mean, it would be hundreds of dollars to, make that flower bed a nicer medium.
Right.
So I'm hoping that ये जो potting mix है ये 1-2 साल मैं plant containers में use करूँगा. Then I might just start dumping it into the flower beds and kind of mixing it with the native soil, right?
Right.
So it's, I mean, over many years, I think it would improve the quality more.
Right. Right. जो आप अपना potting mix use कर रहे थे वो Costco पे आते हैं कुछ 3 हफ्ते पहले देखा था मैंने those huge bags they were all
यार 8 बैग तो मैंने खरीदे थे.
oh wow.
I mean I have been asking my colleague कि अगर 2 और मिल जाएं तो ले आओ, मैं कुछ ना कुछ उगा लूंगा उनमें भी.
नहीं मेरा आज shopping list में है यार. I'll go there and see if I can find those bags.
हाँ यहाँ पे तो खत्म है. Waterloo and Kitchener both don't have it.
अच्छा okay.
You can buy the smaller one. Lowe's Canadian Tire Pay, apparently
Right.
they still have some, but they're
Okay.
smaller and pricier.
Right.
But if you want to try like, 1 or 2 things, it should be fine. Why waste the entire season, right?
बिल्कुल सही. We're at the top of the hour. किसी और के पास कोई और सवाल है? No, that's it then. Numair, बहुत शुक्रिया यार. Thank you. You've a really impressive work that you've done. The time you took and capturing all your research and the slide deck and then sharing it with us. Obviously, a lot of learning for all of us. We understand you're doing it for the first time. A lot of this, and it's all trial and error. But that's the purpose of this community, right? That we learn things together and share.
Exactly.
Just get inspired and learn from each other.
I'm happy that there's at least a few people who are into gardening, and I agree. If there are people who are doing gardening, it's motivating to keep seeing pictures of what others are doing.
You're right.
So I'll try to keep sharing as well.
बिल्कुल. हम इस दफा यानी not into gardening at all, खुद ही आके इधर शुरू किया. अभी कनाडा में भी नए हैं तो सनी स्टाइल हरी मिर्चें लगाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अभी. घर के अंदर
मुझे ना हरी मिर्च का पौधा नहीं मिला अभी तक.
हाँ वो we grew them from seed. वो यानी इधर इकबाल हलाल शॉप से मिर्चें ली थी तो उनके सीड्स बचा के रखे थे तो इस दफा वो प्लांट किया.
तो हमारे जो 1-2 ग्रोसरी स्टोर है ना, they actually bring in हरी मिर्च का पौधा from India.
Right.
And I have grown it in the past. इस साल अभी तक नहीं आया उनके पास. But they do really well. But I mean, you can try. I think you might be late planting those seeds.
नहीं वो कर चुके हैं हम. यानी कुछ 9 इंच बड़े हो गए हैं.
Oh, perfect.
Them out, yeah. वो बल्कि
perfect.
कुछ ज्यादा ही हो गए हैं. वो अब वो जगह नहीं है घर के.
मुझे पार्सल कर दो किसी तरीके से. हरी मिर्च is awesome.
I think
Go ahead.
Sorry. एक point जो I think I wanted to introduce is कि as you know हम लोगों के पास काफी 50 एकड़ जमीन है वो कोऑपरेटिव के अंडर में.
बिल्कुल.
तो this is something which once we try and test, we want to introduce at that location. And the more automation which is possible, the better it is, because more once a week is something that we can afford to go there, but not every day. तो जितना भी हम इसका automation कर सकते हैं, drip irrigation या things like that, तो we can actually implement it.
रेन गटर सिस्टम बड़ा अच्छा चल सकता है उधर.
जी. तो we'll invite you as like a guide or kind of tutor
as the lead consultant.
ये
कोविड कम वक्त खत्म तो हो ना.
नहीं अगले सीजन इस साल तो we are already like midway, so hopefully the next season it should all be good, inshallah.
Inshallah, bilkul. You're right. I think this kind of stuff. और अच्छा है कि इस साल experiment छोटे scale पे हो गया. अगले
जी,
साल
जी.
कुछ बड़ा try कर सकते हैं ना.
क्योंकि even in Middle East, like drip irrigation is like a big thing. वो लोग they maintain a lot of gardens and you know, like basically ornamental things. But
बिल्कुल.
you know, they only survive because of this drip irrigation system.
Absolutely.
तो
Absolutely.
और लेकिन कनाडा में तो better part is, you know, like there are a lot of these crops that really don't need any irrigation. So, but I think veggies के लिए you need greenhouses and irrigation both, I guess. So let's see. Fingers crossed.
Inshallah.
Learning
बिल्कुल.
from
Yes.
you know
Yes.
each other.
Bilkul ji, all right. I think let's conclude this. So thanks again, Nomer, and thank you everyone else for joining and contributing to the conversation.
Thanks, Omar, for organizing, and thanks,
Thank
Nomer. It was a very informative session and very informative and innovative.
Right.
नहीं, definitely बहुत अच्छा session रहा और बहुत knowledge मिली आज मुझे.
Very knowledgeable. Thank you, sir.
साथ आपने सुना है कि या बस आप पीछे बैकग्राउंड में ही थे?
नहीं
हाजिरी लगाने आए हैं साथ में.
मैंने कहा मैं स्टैंप लगा दूं, मैं यहाँ पे था.
आला
ठीक है, अल्लाह हाफिज.
All right, thanks everyone. Allah Hafiz.